Hi everyone, this is Abhiram and welcome back to my channel. In my previous video, we saw how we need to configure the payment terms in SAP FI. In this video, which is a continuation, we will see how we can configure payment terms for making payments in installments. So let us go to the SAP. Payment terms are configured in the transaction OBB8. So let me go to the new entries. As per my previous video, I am just creating a new payment terms AVPI, and let me give the text as 3 installments. I'm not using any day limit here. I'm not using any fixed day for the baseline date calculation. The baseline date, I will put it as posting date. I'm not using any block key or the payment method. And here is what the major change is. So earlier, for configuring normal payment terms, we used to define the percentages and the number of days for each terms. But now, if we want to make the payments in installments, we need to use installment payments. So before we go into the further configurations, let us try to understand the scenario. So there might be requirements in which the payments are made or are received in installments. In majority of the cases, the payments can be made in a single go, but there can also be cases wherein the company wants to make the payments in a monthly installments, which is similar to the EMI. So in such cases, the normal payment terms configuration will not help us because here we cannot split the amount of the invoice into installments. So for that reason, we need to use installment payments. So while creating a payment terms for installments, there are two different steps. The first step is to create this payment terms which we need to give in the invoice document in which the installment payments is enabled. Here we do not give any percentages or the number of days for the terms. This is just an installment payment term. So let me try to save it. So here we are considering 3 installments. So that means the invoice what we are creating will be paid in 3 monthly installments. Save. Now, for each of the monthly installment, we need to have a different payment term. So for that reason, I need to create 3 different payment terms. So let us go to the new entries. So now we are creating a payment term for the first month installment. So I will take it as first month, and the sales text, let me take this as 10% discount if it is paid within 15 days. There is a slight difference in how we define the payment terms for installments and for non-installments. In case of non-installments, we can maintain more than 2 payment terms, up to maximum up to 3 terms, and we define the percentage of discount and for the number of days. So here it is quite similar. As we just saw, the difference is that we need to create a parent payment term which will have the installment payments enabled, and depending upon the number of monthly installments, similarly all the individual payment terms for each month are to be created. So for this one, let me take it as 10% if it is paid within 15 days. So baseline date, I will take it as first of the current month. Let it be the first of current month. And so if it is paid within 15 days, then I will give a cash discount of 10%. So there is some other part that we need to configure here, but let us try out by posting and let us see what error do we receive or what problem we face, and then we come back to the configuration and see why it is required. So I'm saving this one. Similarly, let me create second payment term with 5% discount. So here we need to enter the number of days. So try to understand the scenario. In normal scenarios, the entire invoice amount is paid at a single go. So accordingly, we define the number of days for each term of the payment term. But now, the invoice needs to be paid in 3 different months. So for the first payment term, which is for the first installment, So we mentioned that if the payment is done within 15th of that particular month or 15 days within the date of creation of the invoice, a discount of 10% will be given. For the second month, the number of days should be more than 30 because this one is for the payment terms. This payment term is for the second month installment. So I will take this as 45, which is 15th of the second month. So I will take it as 5% discount and the number of days is 45. Okay, let me go and let me verify. Okay, 10, 45, save. Okay, now let us create a new payment term for the third month installment, which is third installment. It is no discount, 0%, 31. So here I'm not giving any percentage, but this should be 90 days because this is for the third month, and save it. So I have mentioned earlier that there is some other configuration that needs to be done in this screen itself, and if not, we will face some issues. So I'm not doing this at this point, but let us proceed and see how we can do the next steps. So this is the first step of configuring payment terms for installment, wherein we have created a parent payment term in which the installments is enabled, and we have created 3 individual payment terms for each month. Now, in the second step, which is in OBP9, we need to link these parent payment term with 3 individual payment terms. For this one, I need to select the payment term AVPI, which is my parent, and for the first month installment, so this percentage defines what is the amount of the total invoice which needs to be paid in the first month. So let me take this as 50%. So the payment term, which is AVI1. Similarly, for the second month installment, I would say 30% of amount needs to be paid. And for this one, I am using the payment terms AVI2. Similarly, for the third month, the remaining amount is paid with the payment term as AVI3. So this configuration in OBB9 links the installment payment term with the individual payment terms for each month and also defines the percentage split of the invoice amount for each month. Ensure that this percentage sum equals to 100% when we sum up for all the individual months. Okay, now we are done with this configuration. Now let me go to FB60 and let me try to post a vendor invoice. So I'm having a vendor. Let me take this as 03082020, which is the present date, and installment payment term. Let me take this as 10,000. I'm not using any taxes. So the GL account. Okay. Now if I go to the payment tab, here as we did not default the payment term in the business partner master data, it is taking up from the master data. But if I give it as AVPI, which we have created. Now if you see, there is nothing here. You did not find any days or the percentage. So I'm giving the payment method as 1. And now let me try to simulate the document. If you observe here, in the normal cases, only the vendor is credited and the expense should be debited. There will be only 2 line items in a typical vendor invoice. But here, as the payment terms is having installments enabled, the vendor line item is split into 3 different line items based on the percentages. If you see, 50%, which is 5,000, 30%, which is 3,000, and 20% is 2,000. This split is based on the linkage of the parent payment terms for the installment with the individual payment terms for each month and the percentages we have defined in OBB9. So let me try to post this one, and let us open the document. The first line item, which is for the 50%, which is the first installment. Now if you see here, the payment term AVI1 has been automatically picked up. So here the percentage is 15%, the 10% discount within 15 days. This one is automatically picked up from the OBB9 configurations. So if you see the due date also, let me try to open this in vendor open items. So we are having 29. So if you see the due date, so it is very important to give a proper due date in the payment terms or the proper term date while configuring the payment terms, because based on that, the due date and the cash discounts for each monthly installment is picked up. And if it is not given properly, then there's a chance that all the payments, all the 3 installments might be automatically paid while we are doing an F110 payment run for the first month. So see this one. So what is the net due date? The net due date is 16/08/2020. But for us, the due date should be 31st. Now it is taking only 16th, because as we said, this is because of the missing configuration that we have done. So we need to define payment terms in such a way that for each monthly installment, the due date will be end of that particular month, or probably 30 or 31 days from the baseline date of the payment. And the second thing, now we know that this is wrong, but still I'm going ahead and let me try to create a payment run. So I will try to make a payment on 17th of August, and let me see what and how much cash discount will be picked up for this one. So let me go to F-53. Let me try to change the posting date. We'll give it as 17th, because the due date for the first line item is 16th. So I'll give it as 17th. And this is the vendor. Let me deactivate everything. And let us go to the invoice which we have created now. So if you see, there are 3 invoices with same number ending with 29. The first one is 5,000, 3,000 and 2,000. So for the first one, for the 5,000, it is already due by one day. That means it is due by 16th, as we saw in the open items, and the payment is being made on 17th. So technically, the cash discount should not be applicable for this one. But if we see here, it is still applicable. This is because in the payment terms, we did not define, we have defined only that what amount of or what percentage of cash discount should be selected by the system if the payment is made within 15 days. But we did not mention anything to the system mentioning what is the percentage beyond 15 days. So that is why it is always necessary to mention 0 and 31. So now if we see, so for the first monthly installment, if the payment is made within 15 days, then a percentage of 10 is obtained for cash discount. Otherwise, the entire first month installment should be paid within 31 days from the baseline date, which is first of that particular month. So save it. Similarly, we also need to define for the next month. So for the next month, let me take it as 60. And for the third month, I will take it as 90. We have already taken 90, so we need not do any changes for the third monthly payment term. And I'm saving this one. So now let us try to post another invoice. Again, I'm taking the same amount, 10,000. The payment tab, let me change this to AVPI. Okay, and the payment method is 1. Now simulate. So again, the amount has been successfully split based on OBB9 configurations, and now I'm saving this document. Let me go to the open items. Let me refresh this, and we are having 3 new open items. Let me see the first open item. The first monthly installment, within 15 days it is 10%, and within 31 days it is 0%. Fine. Now again, let me go to the outgoing payments, and on 17th, again on the same date, let us execute and see what will be the cash discount taken. Or before that, let me see what is for the current date. So see here. So here, what is 30? This one. So for this one, a cash discount of 10% has been applied on the invoice amount, which is 5,000. So the cash discount is 500 rupees. Fine, because neither of these are due, and these are falling within the first term of the payment term, that is 10% if paid within 15 days from the baseline date. The baseline date is first of the month, because we have taken as a fixed date in the payment terms. Now, let me again change the date to 17th. So if we go to the same line item, here if you see, there is no discount applied to this one, because now the system knows what percentage of cash discount it needs to take if the payment is being done after 15 days of this particular invoice. So we have mentioned as 0% beyond between 15 to 31. So if the payment is made anything between 15th to 31st, then the cash discount will be taken as 0%. So this is perfect. Now let us try to make the payment for this invoices. So I'll take this as today's date. Okay. So my company code is AVIN payment method, and next posting date I will take it as end of the month. This is my vendor. In free selection, let us select this document with 30. Okay. Another additional logs. Let us select this one. So in the proposal, if we see, it has been picked up. Let us see what items have been picked up on this one. So as we are making the payment only on 3/8/2020, the first month installment has been picked. So the amount is 5,000. So if we see here, the cash discount of 10% has been made, and 500 rupees of cash discount has been included on this particular open item. So similarly, based on the date on which the payment is being made, the further months of installments are also picked up along with the cash discounts. So let me delete this one. So now we saw how the amounts in the invoice are automatically split based on the payment terms for the installments. But there might be scenarios wherein the split might not actually be what has been configured already in the payment terms, but for that particular instance, the split might be something different. So what to do in that cases? So in that cases, there is an option called amount splits. So for that to be activated, we need to go to the company code global settings in SPRO, go to the financial accounting, global parameters for company code and enter global parameters. So for my particular company code, if you see here, there is an option for enable amount split. Now enable this one and save it. Data is saved. So now let me reopen FB60 transaction and observe the difference in these tabs. So if you see now, a new tab amount split has been enabled for this particular transaction. So by using the amount split, we can manually split the invoice amount into different monthly installments. So let me again try this one. So I will enter this same details for the invoice, but now instead of the terms which have been picked up by the system, let us try to give it manually. Okay, I'm going to the payment terms, change the payment term to AVPI, which we have created. Okay, so simulate. So this amount has been split based on in the ratio of 50%, 30% and 20% based on what we have defined in the payment terms. But now I want to do it manually, so I will go to amount split, and here if you see, I can give the payment method, I can give the payment terms for the entire invoice amount. So 10,000 is the total amount, so let me take it as 40,000 for the payment method AVI1, sorry, AVI1, and 25,000 or 35,000 for AVI2 and 25,000 for AVI3. Sorry, this should be 4,000, this should be 3,500 and this should be 2,500. And now let me simulate it again. So if you see, the system has overwritten what it has been already picked up from the payment terms with what we have manually entered in the amount split tab. So this is how, if in a scenario wherein we want the system to split the invoice amount for installments based on what is not configured in the payment terms, instead of changing the payment terms for such exceptional scenarios, we can directly split the amount from the invoice screen itself. So I'm saving this one, and if we see the invoice, it is split on the manual ratio which we have entered. So in order for the amount split tab to be activated, it needs to be enabled in the company code global parameters. But remember that this works only in the enjoy transactions or the new transactions like FP60 and FP70. But if you want to go to F-28 or F-33 or any other such old transactions, this amount split tab will not be working. You will not see any amount split tag even if you enable it in the global parameters for the company code. So this is how the payment terms for installments needs to be configured and how it impacts the payments in the SAP system. Thank you for watching.